Okay, the next item is item number 6, application for a certificate of appropriateness at 182 Dean Street in the Borum Hill Historic District, docket number 15-9747, block 195, lot 28, a modified Italianate-style row house built in 1859-60. This is an application to construct a rooftop addition.
Good morning, Carousel of Landmark staff. 182 Dean Street is located on the south side of the street, between Bond Street to the east and Hoyt Street to the west. The proposal is to construct a rooftop addition, which would be visible from the front of the building as well as from the rear through a break in the street wall over a one-story garage building. And the architect is here to present the application.
Thank you, Cara. Yes.
Hi, good morning. Good morning. Thanks for your time today. So as Kara said, I am the architect for 182 Dean Street. I work for Kitchen Cathcart, and we were hired by the owners of the house to do some minor interior renovations that we're not really concerned with today, but mostly a rooftop addition. So 182 Dean Street is between Bond and Hoyt. It is a 2-story brick townhouse that has a basement and a cellar. As of today, the house is occupied by one family, the 2 owners and their 3 children. Although legally it is a 2-family dwelling. So the owners have asked us to do the work, the interior renovations and rooftop addition, in order to adequately divide the house into 2 distinct units. The rooftop that we are asking for today is fully within the permitted envelope under the contextual zoning, and it sits under the sight line from across the street, so it's not visible from directly across the street. We've been working with staff here at Landmarks in order to generate a design that provides the owners of the house something that pleases them, as well as sort of trying to maintain historic massing of the house and the district around it. So the block is within a low zoning area. It's mostly 2- and 3-story townhouses, and even though full third stories and 4th-story penthouses are allowed, we're asking for a 3rd-story rooftop addition. So right here is our site. On the block, there are already 2 rooftop additions. One is 2 doors down, and the other one is on the other side of the block along Bergen Street, 175 Bergen Street. And there are many rear yard additions that have been done within past 10 to 15 years. As I mentioned earlier, we're also doing some interior renovations. I'm not going to dwell on them today because it's not really what we're here for, but I wanted to show you the kind of work we're doing. These are the demolition plans. The main thing we're doing is we're just, getting rid of the stair right here, the stair that separates the basement and the parlor, the main first floor, again, to create those 2 units. And of course, we're removing part of the slab here to add a new stair to the rooftop addition. These are the cellar and basement plans, 1st and 2nd floor plans, very minor interior renovation work. And this is the 3rd floor plan over there. So this is the plan for the rooftop addition. We're adding a master bedroom and a master bathroom. Of course, again, a new stair. And there's an existing rear yard addition, and the roof of that will be a new deck. We're also doing some work in the backyard, some landscaping. This is the front elevation, existing and proposed. We're not doing any work to the existing facade. And again, the addition is not visible from directly across the street. These are side elevations, east and west. We're having a 20-degree sloped roof in order to avoid having a parapet or handrails that will be required by building code if the roof was less than 20 degrees. This is the existing elevation from the back, the rear elevation. Here you can see the existing rooftop addition that was performed a few years ago at 170 18th Street, and they also did some significant, I suppose, renovation to the facade with new windows. And this is the proposed rear elevation. We've been careful to try and maintain the sort of vertical proportions by having windows shorter as they go up. And we're also matching our handrails with the existing handrails in the back with the vertical bars.
Is that wall of the building just extrudes up, or is that a flat plane at the rear? Yes, where you have the EIFS, and then below is the existing.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Is that just one plane, or is it?
It is one plane.
You've shown a line there. Is that just a change in?
This line here, that's because we're setting back a few inches from the rear parapet.
Oh, it's a few inches.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, there are details coming in, I'm sorry. A few sections through the building. So yeah, we're setting back a few inches here, and we're about 11 feet away from the south wall of the existing addition, the existing rear addition. More sections through the house. So details here, right, this is the line that you see on the drawings. Both the owners and us are very concerned with thermal comfort and energy efficiency, so we've chosen a structure that has a high R value. So these are AAC blocks, sort of lightweight concrete blocks, and an EFIS system, and we've chosen that because of its high insulating properties. And the roof is a standing seam metal roof. Here are some details of the handrails. We're using very thin rods to sort of have them be minimally visible from the rear. And again, vertical rods to match the existing handrails of the neighbors. These are some existing conditions around the house. Here are the two additions. This is a Google Earth view, obviously. This is 170 18th Street. Here's our site. And this is the smaller addition along Bourbon Street. Here are a couple pictures of the addition that is at 178. And this is a view of the addition on Bergen Street from our roof. And other sort of miscellaneous pictures of the roof. And this is the 2 doors down, a rear yard addition that the neighbors did.
Given the visibility, have you looked at bringing the height of this down? Because the one that is about 2 doors away is about 11 feet or 11 feet 6. Yours is about 16 feet.
Right.
So couldn't you lower it?
We could, but the issue that we're running into is that at the lowest ceiling height on the north side of the addition, we're only at 6'8" inside, which is sort of a minimum ceiling height, and with the 20-degree roof slope that we're trying to maintain, that's why it's, and also we wanted to sort of take advantage of the south-facing walls and maximize the light.
Right, okay, I understand that you want to maximize the light from the rear, is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
All right, but it seems that, I'm just looking at your section on page, can't tell which page it is, but
Oh, it's a top.
page 13, this.
Mhm.
So I'm not fully understanding why you can't just flatten the roof at the top and still get the headroom.
What do you mean, so flatten the roof here?
Right,
we-
and just bring it down.
If we
Okay, you
flat-
can't do that?
If we flatten the roof, then we need to add a parapet or handrails. That is.
You have to have handrails above the roof, even?
Yes, because of the building code requires you to have handrails or parapet if the slope of the roof.
No, you're not gonna go up there though, right?
Not that roof, kind of roof.
Do you have to go up there?
Oh,
There's
okay.
nothing up there.
No, there's nothing up there. But
So it's going to be just a flat roof?
We've looked into that with our expediter, and it seems that that's what we would have to do.
Well, can you explore that a little bit more? Because I think you'd be able to actually reduce the height
Okay?
significantly. Could take off probably about maybe 5 feet off this.
Okay.
I
So,
think that's the point, this thing sort of overwhelms the building a lot.
Mhm. We can certainly look into that. Like I said, we have already, but if you would like us to.
right, the issue is that if you lower it, even if it's a flat roof, but you
Mhm.
don't have any equipment over there and it's just a flat roof, why does it need to have access and therefore have a parapet? I'm not sure if that's the case if there's no access.
Yeah.
There is, we lost them to explore that. All right, other questions? Yes, just questions, and after that, we'll take public testimony, we can have more comments. Yes.
No question, what happened here?
Are there any other
Just
questions?
have one question.
Yes,
At
Roberta.
13 and 14, is one of them...
Page
are they the
13 and
same
14?
section? Are they basically the same? But the windows in the back are shown differently, or is that a door or
Those two sections are taken from two different places.
South and north? Or whatever, east and west. or-
for the door?
Apologies, we're having a little technical difficulties. Things like that. I can take questions, though, if you had a
Yes,
question. right?
Roberta, go ahead.
No, so I think that, yes, if there is something off on that section, you should just check that.
Okay,
It's not,
absolutely.
it doesn't show your clear-story window. But also, like, it doesn't really show, so is it sitting on the parapet wall, right? Or is it just sitting on, you're taking,
It's
in
sitting
the
right
rear.
off of the parapet wall, right?
huh?
It's sitting right up, so we're, for structural reasons, so we're having the I-beam next to the parapet wall, so that's sitting right on
Okay,
top
so
of
did
that.
you look at, or could you look at then having it like set back so that at least the shape, the form of the building in terms of the height is clear, I mean, is still evident from the rear? You're wanting to hide it because you want to take advantage of the structural
Right,
element? I want to push it in because I want to
we can
define
certainly look into
the
that,
old
right.
building and the new addition.
Mhm.
Just like, look at that.
All right, are there any other questions right now? Yes, Adi?
I think I keep flipping through this. I'm just looking and don't yet understand what the back looks like. And it would really, I think, be helped with some kind of a rendering or the drawing of the elevation of the rear elevation is not really clear, which is why I think The chair had questions about that line, and I have questions about the material, as do the others.
Did you do a 3D?
Well,
sort
we
of
have a
an-
3D model, but we don't, well, we have a mock-up done. So
You have a, right, but I think it's just sort of in terms of the
you mean a
content.
3D rendering?
Yes, right, I think that may help for the rear.
No, we don't have one.
You don't have one, I
No, we
know,
don't
but you
have
could
one.
come back
We
with
have
one.
pictures of so this is right up here is the mock-up.
So this is what you would see from Dean Street,
Right.
those,
No, this is what you see from the backyard. So this
Okay,
is
sorry, from
taken
the
from the
back.
backyard of 182 Dean Street. This is the house with the rooftop, and these are the neighbors. This is the 178 is the yellowish house. That's the one that has the addition.
Is this addition visible from the front, from Dean
Not
Street?
directly across the street. It's visible, so we're actually, so these are pictures of the mock-up that we had done a few months ago. So here this is the point of highest visibility along Dean Street. It's at the intersection right here of Dean and Bond, so this is number 2. You can see it right there. You can see a little bit of it. And I've made a little rendering. This is what you see from the intersection. And as Ms. So said earlier, we have unfortunately, a one-story building right here. There's a break on the street wall that makes the addition visible from there, but nowhere else along Bond Street and nowhere along Bourbon Street, which is the street that runs parallel to Dean. So this is where you can see it through the tree.
Okay. Any other questions for the applicant right now? Otherwise, we can take testimony and we can then ask them more questions afterwards. Right, we'll take public testimony. Barbara Zay?
Barbara Zay of the Historic Districts Council. While the bulk of the rooftop addition is not visible from the street, it would be very visible from the interior of block that has not suffered other such incursions. HDC asks that in addition to taking a more modest approach, the applicants also reconsider the proposed materials. The use of EIFS with a stucco finish only exacerbates a heavy-handed intervention. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. Christabel Guth?
Christabel Goff for the Society for the Architecture of the City. In avoiding a looming presence on the street, sometimes rooftop additions become detrimental to the interior of the block, and this is to be regretted when the central garden space is still relatively pristine and unbroken. We see this addition as excessively bulky, an oversized intervention that is finished in an unsympathetic material and will be a blight on the skyline. The design should be modified. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any more speakers on this item? All right, Community Board 2 has sent in their resolution and they support the project. All right, can you just come forward? Are there any other questions for the applicant? I think there seems to be concerns about the scale and the visibility of this rooftop addition. And I think, and it seems it's also raised an issue about the material. And I think we've seen other situations where people have opted for other roof materials in the rooftop that have been more acceptable to this commission. So I think you should consider that. I think stucco's been used and commission. I'm sorry, what was that? Yes, exactly. And so if you could look at maybe some other materials. I just would note that the addition, at least in my opinion, that you've chosen to do this setback. There are other buildings that have actually, they have a height that's higher than this, or are they all uniform?
What do you mean by other
Meaning on the
buildings?
street, are they all the same height, and except for
no.
the one or two that you've shown us, right?
So if you look at the block map, excuse me while I go back. So here, so the brown shapes are 2-story houses, and then the rest are mainly 3 stories with a few 4 stories in purple.
Right, so there are a lot of 3-story buildings which actually at the street line go up. Is that correct?
Yes.
but you set back, because in this, where you're located, it's actually 5 or 6 homes that are just 2 stories.
Right.
Okay. And it may be worthwhile then for you to actually give us a bigger streetscape if it's still visible, even with the changes, then I think we need to sort of understand how that impacts the area.
Okay.
So I think it's looking at the material, looking to reduce the height of the rooftop addition, and I think Commissioner Washington had also noted some way of sort of demarcating where the existing fabric is versus the addition. Anything else we would like them to look at? Yes,
I would say that in the past, we've almost always required that there be a setback from the rear facade of a few feet,
okay.
generally speaking, usually about 3 or 5 feet. if
I
I'm
think
not
3 feet
mistaken.
is what would be normal.
And generally, luckily, a certain person is now the BSA chair and not sitting to my left, or else, I mean, EFS is like, we generally don't, have not in the past allowed for materials that are not substantial enough to be appropriate to these fine districts.
So EFS,
Meaning,
Meaning no E EFS.
okay, no EFS, we want to be clear about that, yes. Just look at other materials. All right, so are there any other comments? And otherwise, we'll wait for them to come back. I think at this point, the commission is not ready to approve this. So we can close the hearing?
Someone
Seconded?
Okay, item number 7 is an application for a certificate of appropriateness, sorry,